shown that there's some advantages to going hungry a little bit. Intermittent fasting is considered healthy for you. You have a few hours where you don't eat, a few hours where you do, and it gives your body time to, process, replenish, whatever. I haven't read those studies, but anyway. I'm not sure if that was the policy of the hunger strike in Princeton, which was called off because of health concerns. Because, even if there is some advantage to not eating all the time, there are clear disadvantages to not eating at all. And yeah, university is where you learn things, and the Princeton students are learning well, yeah. So, I was gonna start this episode by eating something and, making some joke about us being on a hunger strike, but the reality
I
show
didn't do a big juicy hamburger.
Beyond Burger, of course. But
Right.
the reality show that follows this show is about Abby Martin, and I spent the last few hours watching her stuff. And that, if you really want to go on a hunger strike, just watch Abby Martin talk. We'll talk about that later.
We'll induce a hunger strike in anyone. Oh boy. Is
Welcome to the Daily Objective,
welcome to
the
the Daily
daily political
Objective.
news of the war in Israel.
But we're
James.
laughing because it is risible. Because it truly is risible. I mean, a bunch of Princeton is not a cheap place to go. And all of these wealthy Princeton undergrads decided that, and this was their initial statement, we are committing our bodies to the Palestinian cause. They're committing their bodies until there's a health issue, of course. Now, that is it shows the lack of integrity. It shows the cowardice. It shows their value ambitions, though, in a very important way. Let me just say that as an objectivist, I absolutely believe people should have the legal right to commit suicide. Your life belongs to you, and you get to decide it. Now, also as an objectivist, I think that under normal circumstances, it is very stupid to commit suicide. This is a wonderful world. Life is all that we got going here, so that suicide is stupid. But I also did a little research into the history of hunger strikes as a form of protest. Um, they worked in the case, for example, in the Indian independence cause of the middle of the last century. Gandhi famously was arrested many, many times, and he went on hunger strikes. And they only worked because Gandhi was revered. The Mahatma was revered. His death brought the warring factions to both stop because both sides so venerated him. Gandhi had a disciple who also went on a hunger strike. He died from the hunger strike, but he too was venerated almost in a religious way. During the Anglo-Irish War of about 100 years ago, there were hunger strikes. During the suffragette movement, women who were arrested for protesting for the women's right to vote went on hunger strikes. And in those cases, there was force feeding because they didn't want people in custody to die who were already under arrest while they're in the government custody. But again, or their wives, in the case of Irish, the wives of certain Sinn Féin members went on hunger strikes because of their arrested husbands. Now, that all implies there's already an understanding and a sympathy for the cause. If you don't have the understanding and sympathy for the cause, a hunger strike isn't an argument. It's an emotional demand. It's an emotional demand predicated on altruism. You should care because I care so much, but then they don't really care so much. You know that we had the story of the guy who set himself on fire. We have stories of 9/11 suicide bombers. We have all kinds of Arabs who really are willing to be martyrs for their cause. Now, those people really believe it. Those people at least have, I think it's perverse to use the word integrity, but they at least have the integrity to act on their beliefs. These college kids really are simply demanding that their emotions be treated as absolutes. There's got to be a subjectivism behind it all. You see, by saying that I care, you should care. I assume altruism. You will just care if I kill myself. Why should we? Why should we care if these kids kill themselves? I can't stop. If you really want to kill yourself, there's nothing I can do to stop you. If you really want to do that, for me to care, I need an argument. No, they're willing to commit their bodies to this cause of defending the monsters on October 7th. They do not. There is no moral clarity that is required for it to be an effective strategy. But as a stunt, it is simply suicidal. Why should anyone care simply because you care so much that you say you're willing to die for it? But of course, they aren't willing to die for it. In fact, the minute that their tummy rumbles, the minute that someone says there might be some health, after all, it's lunchtime, we are committing our bodies suddenly is not such a commitment. These little punks are little hypocritical cowards and subjectivists who think that their emotional claims should by themselves cause us all to rethink the matter simply because they are willing, they say, to die for the cause, when in fact they aren't willing even to risk health effects. The people who went on hunger strikes before, men like Gandhi, the suffragettes, the people in the Anglo-Irish War, those people were willing to die. They were willing to suffer huge health problems to their kidneys and their internal organs from the starvation. They were willing to commit their bodies. These little punks are cowards and hypocrites. And they're cowards and hypocrites who are simply aping the death cult that they're doing this for. And they're subjectivists, thinking as if their emotional assertions, which they're not even serious about, should get anyone's attention. If they want to die, I say let them.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't share your sympathy for any of I don't get hunger strikes. What is why should I listen to somebody even if they let themselves die? Why should I should listen to them because there is no cause that I would want to die for. I can imagine situations where I would think that the life as it is in that situation, maybe a concentration camp or so on, is worse than death. But I can't imagine using that as a political tool, especially if you are willing to die. Why would you be willing to die for a cause? Like, once I'm dead, no offense, whatever happens to y'all who are still alive will not matter to me. I mean, it'll matter to me while I'm still alive, but once I'm gone, it no longer matters. So I don't get hunger strikes, but of course, this is this one.
I
Yeah.
I oppose hunger strikes as a strategy. Let me do you one better. I'm not defending hunger strikes as such. Also as an objectivist, I don't believe in making yourself a martyr. I don't think that martyrdom, like Christians venerate martyrs. They, canonize them. They beatify them. That martyrdom is a great thing. If you can die for the cause, this goes back all the way to early Christianity. Dying for the cause is good thing. But if you believe in an afterlife, at least there's some theoretical background for it. If you don't believe in an afterlife, then all you're doing is throwing your life away needlessly. So no, what I was commenting on is when it was politically effective. It has sometimes been in the history of protests, such as in the case of Gandhi, it had an effect. The warring factions stopped fighting because neither side wanted to be held responsible, in effect, for Gandhi's suicide. Now, that requires a level of, first of all, a philosophical belief walking into it that Gandhi was doing a noble thing. As I say, I agree with you. I don't think hunger strikes or suicide in general is a noble thing. But but it can have an effect if the people respect you so much that no one wants to be blamed for your death. Now, being committed to the cause of death. Now, there are causes that I would certainly risk my life for. Absolutely. My liberty, my own freedom, my family's safety and freedom is a cause I would be willing to risk my life for. It's worth life itself to me. It is a condition for real life for me. And so there are causes I'm willing to risk my life for, but not throw my life away for or commit suicide for. But the whole idea is to get a headline. And the headline is, I'm willing to die for my cause. But let me just tell these little punks at Princeton, you ain't no Mahatma Gandhi. No one is going to, both sides aren't going to resolve the matter because you all are deciding to starve yourselves, as they did in the case of Gandhi, where it actually at least had some effect, but only because people walked into it with bad altruistic philosophical premises like Gandhi's.
So let me read a little bit from this article. This is from Yahoo News. We'll get to the super chats in a minute, but yeah, I don't think this is one of the stories that we need to go through every part of an article because it pretty much speaks for itself. But this is somewhat interesting. Princeton divests now. The student protest group that is calling for the New Jersey Ivy League University to divest from America's Middle Eastern ally due to the high civilian death toll in the Gaza Strip said additional strikers would be continuing their efforts. And this is a quote from a post on Instagram. Um, Due to health concerns of the 13 strikers who fasted for 10 days, the first hunger strike wave ended and the second wave has begun. Uh,
They're apparently
yeah,
going
I
to
mean, in a sense, you know,
because we don't want anyone really to suffer from our
yeah,
hunger.
I said I
We're going
oppose
to have a
hunger strikes, but
rotating group of hunger
in a sense,
strikers.
I take part in a hunger strike of that sort every single day. You know, there's a wave, then I have a meal, and then there's another wave. So,
Another wave of hunger strike. Yes, I periodically go on hunger strike waves. Yes. Well, I mean, think of it. The professors, there was a group of faculty at Princeton who went out and made a big statement and had a written statement in support of these hunger strikers. They only went on a 24-hour hunger strike. And then I saw a video of one of these hunger strikers 10 days into it. And I can assure you, he had not been on a hunger strike for the last 10 days. He was mentally there. He was talking fine. He didn't look weak. He had plenty of extra, padding on his face. Slender young guy, but trust me, he hadn't been on a real hunger strike for 10 days. So I didn't even buy that these guys were truly on a hunger strike for 10 days. But assuming that they had, the minute it starts getting truly uncomfortable or there might be health risks, they're not committed to it. They have not committed their bodies to it. And as if they know somehow that this is a purely subjectivist argument. Why should we care? Why should we even care that you say? And now that you're turning into a revolving, a relay hunger strike, now your commitment to it isn't even there. It takes all the punch out of a real hunger strike. Where I kind of expect someone to be starving to death if they're really glad to go on a hunger strike. These little cowardly hypocrites aren't even consistent with their own death cult philosophy. Is the way I'd put it.
thank
Remember,
you, Akira.
they're doing this to defend the monsters of October 7th. They're claiming this moral high ground. And they're claiming that going on a moral hunger strike will show that they have the moral high ground as they're defending the monsters of October 7th. But no, see, they really don't have that kind of moral certainty, not the moral certainty, say, that our average suicide bomber jihadist does. No, no. These little cowards and hypocrites can't even live up to the death cult they're defending.
Yeah, by the way, the people in the death cult are not going on a hunger strike because they have an endless supply of food in the form of so-called humanitarian aid from us in the West. So they're well fed. Thank you, Bonnie, for the super chat. Thank you, Akira, for the super chat. Akira sends emojis of a burger, fries, a taco, and what is the last one? I'm not sure. And says there must be a quote from the soup Nazi here. Well, it's definitely not no soup for you because
No
these
super you.
because they have they have soup or whatever it is that they have. It's probably something something more substantial than soup.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. See,
yes, if there is one, feel free.
no, I ask these little punks, why don't you go on a if you really think hunger strikes are effective? I'd question them about that, obviously. But if you really think hunger strikes are effective because there's a moral cause, how about you go on a hunger strike until Hamas releases the hostages? No, they're defending an evil cause and they're claiming a moral high ground for it just because they say so. And just on their say so, not even because they're willing to back it up with action. Big, empty talk.
Daniel says here in the Zoom chat, intermittent hunger strike. Thank you, Frank, for the super chat. Frank says, did you see the woman graduate who ripped up her diploma? Yeah, the one from Columbia. Yeah, I saw a video of them going up and holding up their signs, and one of them ripped up her diploma. If that's the one you're referring to, there may be more. Yeah, the good thing about that ceremony and them showing up with the signs is they're not covering their face. We can see who they are. We can name them. We can, future employers can choose whether or not they want to hire them. Of course, the Qatari government, I'm sure, will fund something for them. There may be job opportunities in Iran. I don't think they'll have to cover their face there, but they definitely have to cover their
Iran
hair.
is offering scholarships, to the protesters. If they
Yeah.
want to, if they want to go to University of Tehran, they have the welcoming open arms over there. And to the young lady who ripped up her diploma, she's a hypocrite for getting that diploma. She's a hypocrite for staying at this murderous institution that is sanctioning all this evil and genocide and apartheid. She claims to be out there. Why doesn't she say, instead of ripping up her diploma, because she gets the credit of graduating, you see, she doesn't want to lose out on the bennies of having a Ivy League a degree that she can claim. So why the hell was she still going to school there? All these little hypocrites should drop out immediately from these evil institutions rather than continue to pay them through tuition. Why would you be doing that? Why would you be paying tens of thousands of dollars every year for that?
By the way, WUB and Larsetto clarify that it's the University of Shiraz, not the University of Tehran, and we know the University of Shiraz is much more welcoming to
Yeah.
non-binaries and all the different types
Yes.
of
Yeah. Oh, and feminists too, uh, who want to show an inch of skin. Yeah.
yeah. Um, Thank you, Christian, for the super chat. Christian says the fatties for Palestine need a diet. By the way, this is not an insult by Christian. There is actually a I don't know if it's a well-organized movement, but they have T-shirts. Yeah, there is a fatties for Palestine. I've had the pleasure of seeing the images of that online. Yeah. Again the type of characteristics that people think that is something they need to associate with their support for the savage murderers in Hamas. Is seemingly endless. And yeah, body shape is one of those characteristics.
An astonishing thing, though, rather than a discussion or a debate or the kind of analysis that we provide on this channel, they think that somehow this assertion that they are willing to commit their bodies to the cause and starve themselves for it, that should get people's attention, should transform it into them having the moral high ground. It is pure subjectivism. And it's a demand that their emotions be taken seriously just because there are their emotions on the subject. They're not giving arguments. They're not justifying October 7th intellectually, which of course can't be done. But what they're saying is, I will starve until my demands are met. I won't quit this university and paying them tens of thousands of dollars every year, even though I think they're murderously sanctioning Israel. No, I want all the benefits from that. But I will say I'm going on a hunger strike. Well, but then, when there's health problems, let's, call it off or make it a rotating, hunger strike. No, it's a joke. It's a joke that shows they're not serious about it. They know that it's not worth risking their lives to defend evil at some level. They really can't justify it. That's why they have to go to these stunts, and that's what it is. It's a stunt. It's a hunger strike that they're not serious about.
Yeah. By the way, Fatties for Palestine refers not to especially thick marijuana cigarettes, but to very large. I think was it just women or both women and men? I don't remember particularly, but anyway, that's what that movement is. I don't know if they're participating in any hunger strikes. If they last 10 days, that could be seen as a positive by some. But anyway, let's.
You notice how it's also consistent with Hamas's policy. We were talking yesterday on the TDO how Hamas, and I think I made the point rather strongly, Hamas wants their own children dead. That's their tactics. That's their strategy. That's how they hope to win, by paralyzing Israel because their own babies die, which is something they are aiming for and wanting. Now, the same general philosophy is understood and accepted by these Princeton thugs, but they don't have the again, I don't like using the word integrity. They don't have the huevos to actually back up the words that come out of their mouths. We're committing our bodies to this cause. Well, until the doctor says it might be health problems.
Yeah, I want to read a little bit more of that article. Apollo Zeus says I was expecting the Undertaker and AJ Styles. Yeah, I was thinking about that the use of that thumbnail, but Daniel, who is head of production and also has the role of head of memes at ARCUK, assures me that this is used correctly. I see that image, and of course, as a wrestling fan, I immediately think of that wonderful match. Anyway, back to the story. So after the point about the first wave ending and the second wave has begun, they added in the tradition of rotary strikes, 7 new strikers are indefinitely fasting for a free Palestine. And then the news article continues. The end of the hunger strike came after members initially vowed not to eat or drink again until a pair of demands were met. I think this is consistent with how these people generally operate. There are certain things that they say and that they claim they would want and that they claim they're willing to do. And then there is, the realities of life that kind of, when they get in the way, often these people, that's the thing with irrational people, they're not 100% irrational because they would no longer be around. And this is a great example of that. They have to be rational sometimes. And when you're starving, eating is the rational thing to do. So they did that. And now they're well fed enough to go back to being irrational.
Precisely right. Precisely right. There's nothing, let me put it this way, there's nothing cognitively logical, fact grounded, or consistent about what's going on in their heads. Obviously, they're not thinking through anything. They're defending real genocide. They're defending Hamas, whose stated goal is real genocide. They're defending October 7th. This is the cause that they are willing to put their bodies on the line for. So I could totally understand why someone wouldn't be intellectually all the way consistent. There's no way to be all the way consistent with it. And if they come from the West, they have plenty of grounds to know that what they're doing is the evil thing. They're the ones trying to turn into a moral cause. That's the moral perversion and inversion here. They're trying to claim moral ground, the moral high ground for true evil. There's got to be something in the back of their subconscious that knows that that can't be squared. So yeah, why really risk it? Because I don't really even know what I'm doing except lockstep following the crowd or my professors. Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, there was another story that we haven't gotten to and I haven't really looked into much, but there was another issue with some of the staff striking, right? You're the one who sent me that, right?
Yes, the faculty went on a hunger strike, 24 hours. It lasted all of one day. The solidarity, brothers. The faculty, there was a group, not all the faculty, but a large group of faculty at Princeton decided to, in sympathy, they made a statement. They came out with a written statement. We we appreciate what brave young people these are going on a hunger strike. Oh, what a noble cause they have. And we, in sympathy, we'll go on a 24-hour hunger strike. Well, at first it wasn't meant to be a 20, but soon it was announced, oh, we, the professors here, are only going to go on a 24-hour hunger strike. So it was a
So it
very
was announced as 24 hours.
what?
It was announced as 24 hours or they gave up after 24 hours?
I first saw the news, faculty going to go on hunger strike in solidarity with students. A few hours later, another news story hits because I had Google alerts on this. The news story hits, oh, it's only going to be 24 hours. Now, that was within the 24 hours so that they could say, okay, this is the time we're stopping. But initially, I think it had been solidarity. And then some other professor said, well, I've got this important luncheon tomorrow where I'm having dinner with my tomorrow. It wasn't working out for their schedules.
Daniel in the Zoom chat says the faculty on average was probably starving longer than any Palestinian. Yeah, that's that's true. Look, we're this is a serious matter. The war is a serious matter. The
Yes.
anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, anti-Western protests and the very loud voices against anything that's decent is something we should be scared of.
No,
Uh,
it's
but
terrifying. I don't mean to laugh. Yesterday and today, I know I have laughed, and there's something risible about the absurdity of certain people. But this is a very, very serious matter. And it is a matter of moral import. What happened on October 7th cannot be permitted to happen again. Unfortunately, the reaction from Israel and America does not give me confidence that that is the case. On the other hand, these people who are going on this hunger strike are defending sheer evil, sheer evil. People know how seriously I take this matter, and I hope that no one takes my laughing and joking at certain issues as an offense, because I do take this seriously, and I regard these little punks and cowards and thugs as deeply confused and deeply immoral for their evasion, for their willing to say this and not even, because they didn't really even believe this, as you can tell. They didn't have the conviction of putting their bodies behind it, which means it was all just a social metaphysics, go with my professor, this will make me cool kind of thing. And yet they're willing to to do that for a cause they don't understand is sheer evil. Or if they do, then they are just sheer evil.
Yeah, and again, when these people are being so ridiculous, even within the context of a war that is really horrible, we will make fun of them because they deserve it. They've earned it. Thank you, Christian, for the super chat. Christian says they are too weak for Ramadan, but some converted, so they have to make it next year. Well, I don't know if they fully realize that, but they'll find out. Uh,
I
all
know
right.
Catholics who give up stuff for Lent. There's, give up eating ice cream for Lent or something. Those people have sacrificed more than these little thugs at Princeton. Yeah, but I'll tell you, at least it's a form. At least they're not interfering. At least they're not threatening Jewish students, blocking the path of Zionist students, breaking windows, preventing people from getting to class, engaged in encampments. It's a kind of nonviolent thing, and if they want to commit suicide, I say more power to them. I will not, sorry to say, I will not shed a tear if anyone kills themselves for the cause of Hamas.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. One thing that isn't funny is Abby Martin. We are going to talk about her on the reality show. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna leave it. I don't wanna start getting myself worked up now. I'm gonna go spend the couple of minutes we have filling up this bottle of water. I think I'll need it. Thanks, James. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes on the reality show.